Welcome to Tammy Nation. Let's go.
From 9 to 5, been biting my tongue for all this time. Won't let anyone cut me short. I was thinking this was the way to go, and you put up your puppet show. I say cheers to life. No, I'll be no good man's wife. Just leave me alone. I'm running the show. I'm telling you, it's my time to rise up. Live the life I'm proud of. No, you better go home.
Whoo dog. Hello, everybody. Good evening. It is Tuesday evening, June 6th, 2023. And there's some more stuff in the news that I thought I would cover today, this evening. And got home from work and read through the headlines again and found all kinds of stuff going on today that I wanted to catch everybody up on again. First and foremost, welcome to Tammy Nation, and remind everybody that today is indeed D-Day. From 1944, June 6th, it is the day to remember. James Wood tweeted on Twitter this afternoon, and basically James Wood, if you ever see James Wood on Twitter, he's amazing. He has a lot of good things on his feed a lot of the time. And James Wood said that this is what many Americans celebrate with pride this month. And I agree with him 100%, because D-Day, don't forget, that was 160,000 Allied troops that landed on the beaches of Normandy, 50 miles of heavily fortified coastline, 9,000 Allied soldiers unalived them. They were unalived or wounded. And because of their sacrifice, they gave way to 100,000 plus soldiers that marched across Europe to defeat Hitler. So we got to first and foremost have prayers and thanks for these people that came before us and paved the way that we are free. Like I said, there's nothing like the military and the freedom and the sacrifices that they make, and it's always on the forefront of my mind, and I hope it's always on the forefront of your mind as well. So good evening, good evening. Like I said, if you have Twitter, follow James Woods. He really has a lot of good information on his Twitter page. And if you don't have Twitter, I'll put stuff out there every now and again when I come on that he puts out there, because he really is amazing. But, you know, another thing I wanted to cover tonight, one of the first things, like the title says, it's the border. Then there's also a push to get Mount Rushmore shut down. There's all kinds of crazy stuff going on out there. So the first thing I want to cover is the border. In a 2-minute long video, Robert Kennedy Jr. Was in Yuma, Arizona at 2 a.m. and he was out there covering the border, you know, and he said that a country without a border is not a country. And he gave some interesting statistics, and you could see behind him that he said that 150 people came across in an hour that he was there. And he said 50 or 60 of them were from West Africa. They're coming in from Peru, Afghanistan, Kazakhstan, Bangladesh, Tibet, Nepal, and China. He was stating that 117 nations have crossed our border over the years, making it 7 million total in 3 years have come to our country illegally. He said he witnessed it himself. And, you know, I always say cover and watch Frank Lopez Jr., the Border Patriot, because he covers it as well. But last night, Robert Kennedy Jr. in Yuma, Arizona, that's where he was at, his location. And he witnessed it himself. He said these people get put on buses, they're taken to the border patrol stations, and they're processed. And after 4 or 5 days, they're let go and probably never heard from again. He's basically calling it a humanitarian crisis, because across the world it's understood. He said that what he's experienced down there, that it's understood from these people that we have open borders. And he said the ugly side of it, hey, KN, it's good to see you. Hey, Sharon. He said that it is a humanitarian situation. He said that people are being abused and it's not a good situation. He said this is unsustainable. And I absolutely agree with that. And I know that you guys too. We've been talking about this for a long time. We've been witnessing these people crossing the borders, and we've covered how we don't know what kind of diseases, what kind of people these are, what kind of diseases they're bringing in, and all the different kind of bad things that happen as they cross the border to children, to women, even to men. It's very aggressive, and it's not like it's a happy go day at the park. We're crossing the borders, we'll skip to the loo, and it's a good thing. So he had a little bit to say about that. He was down there. Mr. T's been saying that for a long time. Frank Lopez is saying it for a long time, and I'm sure there's others out there that you guys may know or follow that have been saying the same thing. So the interesting thing as well, in the meantime, White House Press Secretary Karine Pierre, she's made a statement from the podium, the White House podium, and she said, since Title 42 has been lifted, we have seen legal migration go down significantly. So I'm wondering, was that a slip of tongue that she was saying that, or yet telling the truth? Because she said, we've seen legal migration go down significantly. Well, I have to agree on her with that. I think that's one of the first times that I agree with something that she says, that I don't feel that it was a fib or an exaggeration, because I believe the legal migration has gone way, way down, because they're getting in and getting escorts right at the border. Why do they have to go through the legal process? So in the meantime, we always talk about this chain reaction that's happening. How do we sustain these people? What do we do with these people? They're spreading them all across the country. Well, there's some new policies that are in effect, because New York Mayor Eric Adams came out and was talking about something. Let me see. You know what, Kim? I have no idea how they get over so many countries. I've heard that they have to pay to do it, that you have to know somebody, and that these families, generational families, get together with whatever they have to try to come up with finances or whatever it may be, Kim, and they get them to where they need to be. That's what Frank Lopez does and covers. He talks about how, some of these people come over with the promise that they're going to deal in the illegal substances. So they're with the cartels, that they enable them to get over. So it's like a whole network and a chain that goes across the world. It's very impressive that so much effort goes into something that is so bad and poor, and that affects so many innocent people. So there's ways to do it, I guess. They do pay them. Yes. So continuing with this problem, New York Mayor Eric Adams says that they're going to have these new policies, and he stated that up to 50 houses of worship in New York will now become shelters for the illegals. He said that the policy is going to help with integrating asylum seekers, which is what he calls them, into local communities. He said in a little presser, he said that it's a win-win and an amazing turn on our investment. He says what it's going to do is enable these people, these illegals, to become part of the community, and it's the best way for them to integrate themselves in the part of the city and their daily lives of the city. He says it will help ease the strain on New York City shelter systems, and that this is only the beginning. So basically, we talked about this a while ago, saying, what are they going to do with all these people? They just can't house them in shelters, and, they're just going, off in little tent cities or whatever. So now the mayor has opened up 50 houses of worship in New York that are going to house these illegals. So, hello, Cam. What's going on over here? Just some little news tidbits, bits of mister. So that's what they're going to do. They're going to ease the strain, he says, on the New York City shelter system. So my thing is, it is a chain reaction, because these houses of worship, and if they house these people, Does that mean they're not going to have worship there anymore? They're going to close it down to be able to house these people in these houses of worship. And he said it's only the beginning, because he wants to, and I heard him talk about people that have extra rooms in their homes to be able to get some kind of financial help if they run out of room to these illegals. Obviously, they're not paying for it. Supposedly the city is, or whatever. So now he's starting off by incorporating these people into churches. And then he's also going to work on, if you have a free room in your house and you want to buck up and you want to allow these people to have a room in your house, that you're going to get some kind of payback for it. So not only does it once again take away from worshiping God, or being able to have, these 50 different churches in use for worship, and, other things that go on in churches. We're going to have house illegals there. It's this, the starting point for these illegals. But now I also ask, and I beg to ask the question, which many of you are already asking yourselves: what about the homeless people that are citizens that have been laying in the streets year after year? What about the veterans that have served this country and need mental help? Maybe they need help kicking an addiction. Maybe they have trauma they need help with. How about them? What are they going to do with them? I just think that it's a smack in the face once again to American citizens. And I think that it just shows exactly what their hand is and what they're trying to do to this country. So it's very sad to me. So he's leading the way in New York City. So we'll have to keep an eye on that to see if anybody else follows suit with homing or housing these illegal immigrants into our churches. Cam. No, I didn't see it, Cam. I've been busy working and stuff. That's why I went on last night and tonight so late, but I'll catch it after I'm off the air. I'll definitely catch it. I know that you've been putting stuff out there, so I'm glad you're having a good time with it and stuff, Cam. Okay, another story is yesterday. If you guys didn't see it, there was a man that's been detained by police in Pennsylvania at a Pride event because he arrived with a sign explaining that Jesus said, "Go and sin no more." His name is Damon Atkins, and he said that it took less than 60 seconds of standing on the sidewalk for him to be handcuffed for quoting a portion of a Bible verse. So Atkins was saying he was going to quote a portion of 1 Corinthians 14:33, and that states God is not the author of confusion, which I think that's very appropriate. But he said he didn't finish the quote because he stopped when he was handcuffed by the police. Now the officer is claiming, "Hey, D-Dog, good to see you." The officer claimed that Atkins was carrying a sign with a slogan written on it that showed opposition to the event because it was a Pride event. So once again, I know that, I'm for the police and I'm for the military, but this officer arrested him claiming that it was the sign, it was opposing the event that was going on, and he shouldn't be doing that. And once again, it goes back to freedom of speech and all that kind of stuff. The guy wasn't causing a scene. He wasn't yelling and screaming and lighting off, things that light off and blow up and fireworks and all that. He said that the officer also claimed that Atkins was yelling at people across the streets, apparently, and the police officer immediately approached him, and he said that he was free to stand on that side of the street and hold his sign, but he couldn't cross the street or yell comments intended to disrupt the event that was going on. So apparently he was told that, the police officer says, but apparently he did cross the street, or the sign was derogatory towards the event. And even though it's, it's what a God quote, it's a Bible quote, and apparently that's offensive because this Pride event, they were doing what they were doing, and there's no freedom of speech for God. God all of a sudden is the one that you can't talk about freely in this country. But the Pride event, they can be loud and proud and say whatever they want to say. So the police also came and charged him, and they said that he had intent to cause substantial public inconvenience, annoyance, or alarm, and that he was recklessly creating a risk. Therefore, he engages in fighting or threatening or in violent or turbulent behavior. So apparently holding a sign up that says, "Go and sin no more," or quoting part of the Bible at any event is not allowed anymore. Nothing about him. So apparently Atkins was cited for derogatory comments. And so basically they're saying that God is a derogatory term. And that's unfortunate. So I just wanted to bring that out there because, we've talked about these different events that are making big waves across the country, these pride events or these different drag events or trans events, et cetera, et cetera. Remember that the rainbow was a promise from God. It is not to be abducted or taken away and used for anything else. These rainbow flags and stuff, I'm gonna say that was a promise from God to everybody. It is not to be taken and used for anything else. That was God's promise, and you cannot just decide to take it and use it. And I'll just stand by that because that's my opinion. That's the way it should be, and it's interesting. Yeah, D-Dog, I wonder, this guy, and then there's a video on it as well, and there was somebody filming it with their phone or whatever, and it gets confusing because it's the almost preacher or something. The way the article was written, it wasn't written really well. So, but the video was self-explanatory. You could see what was going on, and at the moment of the arrest, just before the arrest, and then the confrontation that went on, and then his actual arrest. So we'll see what happens on that. But he wasn't, from what the policeman would have said, hey, he was being violent, he was doing this or that. Basically, the policeman didn't say that. He said he had intent to cause substantial public inconvenience. And I don't know how one person holding up a sign had intentions of doing that. It didn't say he had a bullhorn or anything. It didn't show that he had a bullhorn. He was a pastor. There was two of them there, D-Dog. The first one was a pastor, and the first one was a pastor, and he said that he was preaching for like 10 minutes, and then this other guy came up, and he had the sign, and then that's when it happened. After the 10 minutes, and this guy that only had 60 seconds, who was going to quote the Bible verse, he's the one that got arrested. So there was only a portion of the video and one article that like I said, it was poorly written. So, I'm sure more will come out on this, and we'll find out more on this. Then this one really irked me today, you guys. If you've heard about this one, Target executives are apparently trying to get Mount Rushmore closed down. How about them apples? Process that for a moment. So as the article reads, and it was according to Fox News Digital, if you guys want to look it up, Fox News Digital, it says that Target, through its charitable foundation overseen by the company's top financial executives, have financially supported an organization advocating for the closure and redistribution of U.S. sovereign territory, including landmarks like Mount Rushmore. The Land Back Group, backed by Target, views such landmarks as representations of white supremacy and aims to demilitarize what they perceive as an aggressive U.S. military. Additionally, this beneficiary endorses the dismantling of Israel's Jewish identity via the Palestine Law of Return. They also promote the application of economic pressure measures such as boycotts and sanctions against Israel, with the goal of advocating for Palestine's liberation. The Target Foundation's webpage reflected that it funded the NDN Collective in 2022. It's a South Dakota-based nonprofit with a revenue stream that has reached as high as $50 million plus, according to its 2021 tax filing. NDN operates with the racial equality or equity lens and is dedicated to building Indigenous power through organizing, activism, philanthropy, grant making, and narrative change. Once again, we got that narrative going. So it says that NDN identifies as intersectional, which is an idea coined by a critical race theorist, Kimberly Crenshaw, holding that America is unborn with structurally racist and misogynistic systems, and that they can intersect upon an individual to form numerous layers of persecution. By joining forces with other oppressed groups, NDN hopes to move towards liberation. So basically, the organization's campaign, Land Back, called for America to give up its public land. The closure of Mount Rushmore, return of that land, and all the public lands in Black Hills, South Dakota, is our cornerstone battle, NDN said. Not only does Mount Rushmore sit in the heart of sacred Black Hills, but it's an international symbol of white supremacy and colonization. They said to truly dismantle white supremacy and systems of oppression, we have to go back to the roots, which for us is putting indigenous lands back in indigenous hands. So I couldn't even believe that. Brokeback Group, Target will be closing. It's Brokeback Group. It's now you got to make me look for it. It is the Land Back Group. It is the Land Back Group. Yes. So basically they want to give the land back to indigenous hands, smarty pants. Hey, Chris Gilbert, good to see you. Good to see everybody. So that's their whole deal is to get Mount Rushmore and take South Dakota and get all these different landmarks and monuments taken out. And I just can't believe some of these words that I'm reading. It's like we've gone so far back, and I don't know, these people. I've lost their minds, in my opinion. They just lost their minds. Nothing makes sense. Everything. It's all about the segregation again. It's all about, we're bad, they're good. They act as if everybody should love and accept everybody who they say, right? And it's not us. It's not free. It's not, everything's equal. It's what they say is equal, what they want. And it's so disgusting to me. So Target is heading for some trouble, I'm sure. I hope so. And you made me read that, D-Dog. I went back and looked at it because I'm taking you. I know you were making a joke. I just said you made me go back and read the paper. But I have to make sure that I speak clearly. So I wouldn't want you doing research on it if you didn't know about it and then saying, well, Blondie, you got that wrong, and then text me that I did something massively wrong. So I have to double check myself. Also, what came out today... You are one of those too. Also, what came out today, there's more on Marjorie Taylor Greene, you guys. It's like, what is going on? So Marjorie Taylor Greene came out and said now she doesn't want the J6 tapes released. And it was out of her own mouth. It was on, I think, Real America News or something like that. I saw the video. And she said she doesn't want them released. She said, the real concern is to just release these videotapes just widely for the public. We put the security of the Capitol at risk. She says because there's 1,700 cameras, video cameras at the Capitol. So I don't buy that. I mean, it'd be interesting to see what your opinions are, because my opinion is with 1,700 cameras, do you really have to be concerned about the safety of the Capitol? If you've got that many cameras, who's going to be able to do anything without it being seen with 1,700 cameras? So that makes no sense to me, even for me. Also, why would she now not want them released? Back. Do you buy that? What is the reason behind that? You can think, well, maybe there's things on there, people on there, and these tapes and maybe there's conversations that can be seen and heard that some people don't want out there. Maybe it's some so-called friendly, honest people, representatives, and maybe they did or said things, that are caught on there that all these guys have seen and they don't want us to know. So, it's all conjecture. You're not sure, but to me, it doesn't make sense that she would flip on that at all. And also you got to remember, I mean, it's the government. They have the ability to edit the videos or black something out or, take the sound off. So we just have the visual. They can manipulate it so they can show us something and say, you know what, this was a sensitive whatever, they can do whatever and then still show it to us. So I'm not so sure why she's saying that now. But, we just talked last night about her little falling out with Bannon, if that's real or not. And believe me, all the comments under the video and stuff, people are really, they've had it with her. They said that she's going to be ousted out and that she flipped, she's bought out, she's sold out, that she's up in it with McCarthy now and stuff. And I don't want to believe that. I don't want to see that because, like I said, I really think that she is a fighter. She's a woman, and we need more good representations of women in that are decent, strong women like Carrie Lake and stuff. We need more of that out there. And for her to be flipping, or maybe she was really that way and just playing a part, who knows? But it seems like she's the gift that keeps giving these days, right? Maybe everyone will see her one former staff member waving people in. Yeah. So, who knows? And, her, and you say you're not supposed to mess with people's personal lives and stuff because when they're a representative, if they're doing a good job, personal life is separate. However, in her recent personal life, with the different investments that she had that were shady, talking about the shadiness of that, that's pretty recent. It's not super long ago. So I think that once you become a public figure, they're going to dig in the dirt. And for even us people on YouTube, as silly as that seems, people dig up dirt. And we're nobodies, right? So when you're in government like that and a representative, I think that there should be transparency. And yes, people make mistakes, and yes, they need to be forgiven. And it doesn't mean that who they were in the past, who are now. However, it seems like the stuff, her behavior on top of, and her comments out of her own mouth are telling us who she really is. And unless it's, it's just she's playing a part or whatever it may be. It's not like this is just stuff that's coming up from other people putting it towards her and trying to take her down or take her out or whatever it may be. This is all stuff that's coming right out of her own mouth. So it's kind of interesting to me. I don't get it. So I have to keep an eye on Marjorie. That's 2 days in a row. It's like I don't even want to tell this stuff about her, but I mean, it's out there. So we can make up our own minds. Like I said, the more education that we have about things and the more information, we become smarter and more educated in how we make decisions as we move forward. And not all of it will come out to be true about people. Some of it is false, but to make an educated, you need information. And you got to remember, with information, then our opinions change, right? Our opinions do change. We ebb and we flow. The more information we get, the more we see, the wiser we are, and we can make better decisions, because nowadays you really seem to have to stay on top of everything in order to be able to understand anything halfway. Another thing that came out today was an email from inside of Nike, and it was obtained by the Real Daily Wire. And it was supposedly a leaked email. Interestingly enough, I guess they got to call it a leaked email. People leak stuff now, if they have it on their phones and then it leaks out, they feed it to people, right? So that's what they're saying, that this was. It was a leaked email on the inside of Nike, and it reveals that the company is going to host a child sex change surgeon to celebrate Pride Month. Nike's going to host also a drag story time along with several other Pride events. And we said it a million times, you do what you do as an adult, but when it comes to the children, you leave them alone. And the problem with this is Nike is going to feature Dr. Blair Peters. He is of the Oregon Health and Science University for their July 11th panel discussion. Peters has publicly admitted to performing irreversible sex change operations referred as gender-affirming top surgery on adolescent girls. Also, a tweet that from him on April 6, 2022 stated, I performed gender-affirming mastectomies, top surgery for 3 young adults and adolescents today. All had supportive parents present. You could see the family relief the second we wheeled back to the OR. This is all on his Twitter page. I looked it up myself. He said, I could sense the shift. We made it. We have a chance. What in the heck is he talking about? I could sense the shift. We made it. We have a chance. What does that mean? This is adolescents that he has permanently changed their bodies. So I have said this before, and I dread the years to come of what's going to happen to these adolescent children who have gone through these irreversible surgeries at an adolescent age, and as they grow into adulthood, how that is going to affect them. Because we see a lot of people who go through it as adults, that it doesn't satisfy them or fill the need in them that they seem to have. A lot of them become angry. They're on the medications, the hormones, the testosterone, whatever it may be. And we know prescription medication and medication like that is going to make you go cuckoo sometimes. You start messing with who you biologically are, medically, with physically, and medically with medicine. It's not a good mix, is what I'm going to say. So, hey, Shane, it's good to see you. It's been a minute. Good to see you. Yeah, maybe Nike will be gone too. I don't know. But basically, Peter's Twitter name also has the pronouns he and they next to him. And then his @ is queer surgeon. So if to tweet his name or to look him up, you have to go queer surgeon. And the other scary thing about this is he has 23,000 people following him. So 23,000 people follow this man who has different pictures and different images on there and talks about how proud he is to be able to do these gender affirming surgeries on adolescent girls. So it's absolutely insanity to me. So like I said, Nike has a whole bunch of things supposedly planned, all these different events. It is crazy, Shane, all these different events. And, we have people out there that say, the gay people are getting attacked. Well, there is also gays against, I forget what the name of it is on Twitter. And a lot of them are against this stuff that's going on, these children. But, before it was like, oh, only these pedo people were involved. But you know what? There's instances with drag queens. You can look on the internet and you can find it. It isn't like it's just one, either the trans people or the drag queens or just pedos, right? It's everybody who has a problem figuring out who they are, male or female, or just the ones that are attracted to kids. And that's what's so terrifying to me is all these different groups, okay, are exposing who they really are by not letting it go with the children. Yeah, really, Shane, is Australia as messed up as we are. But there's, you can look on the internet, you can find books every day. There was just another, and there was a pastor that was at a school board meeting. It's happening here, apparently, behind it, WEF. There was a pastor at a school board meeting, and I forgot where it was at. And he was reading one of the books for the children in elementary school. He started reading this book. And, there's been parents that have been doing this as well, but this was a pastor. And he started reading the vulgarities in this book. I mean, it was very descriptive, very detailed, and it was for an elementary school. It was taken out of the library, and the school board was saying, "Excuse me, you need to stop talking, sir." And he was saying, you are trying to tell me to stop. Does this language make you uncomfortable? If it makes you uncomfortable, why are we exposing children to it? If you don't want to hear it, why do you think children need to hear it? So this no longer is just bits and pieces here and there in certain little communities. This is sprung across the country. And it is, to me, it's spreading like wildfire, fire. With summer coming up, there's all these different parades that are going on with this Pride Month thing. I saw a video today, and I so badly wanted to show it. And I know I couldn't because, then I'm going to get taken down and go through that whole process. But it was in West Hollywood, and it was a family-friendly parade, okay? But it was the Pride Parade. So these people that were marching in this parade, and the streets were lined with people, and there were children there as well. These adults are taking the children. We've said that a million times. I don't know what these adults are thinking. I don't think they are thinking. But anyhow, seriously, you guys, this guy was dressed up in a harness and all that black leather. His butt was open, the cheeks were open, so he had like straps on the front. He had the dog collar on, and there was a guy behind him. And he had that whole mask on, that whole S&M garb on, and he had a whip. And I swear to God to you guys, as they were driving slowly in the parade, the guy behind him was smacking his, you know what, naked arse with that whip. And I thought, dear God Almighty in heaven, what is going on in this country that this is an open air on city streets, that these people can do this and bring their kids? What about the nudity? No public nudity or profanity. What about this guy who just got arrested because he was trying to read a scripture out of the Bible at a pride event thing across the street? You're not allowed to counter that. But these guys are going along. And then the people, you guys, the people that were walking behind this truck, oh my gosh. Okay, it wasn't just guys that were dressed in their black leather, like the strappy black leather like they like to wear. So I'll just let you use your imagination with that, because I'm sure you've seen it, and I'm not knocking that. I'm knocking that they're doing it in public. Why do you got to do this in public? You're saying, oh, it's a sense of freedom and include anybody. What about the innocent children, people? What about the children? And why aren't the parents getting arrested for like taking their children to this crap? It was horrible. So the people walking behind them, okay, were dressed in their normal leather attire, or some of them had heels on, but they had those dog masks. You know how you can put that leather mask on and it's like dogs, or then they have like the dogs with like the almost like the cage around the mouth. And then they had the furry people. It's like they wear the furry hat and they had the furry paws on, but the rest of them was naked except for like a Speedo or something. And I thought, and I was looking at this and watching this, you guys, and I swear you have to laugh, but if you don't laugh, you're going to cry. And I'm looking at and I'm saying, what kind of world is this? Like hell? What kind of world do we live in that this is okay to walk up and down the streets, public streets, and take God's rainbow and put it into this, and this is okay? I was like, my mind was blown. And I guess I'm a bit naive. I know things like that go on, but I guess I'm a bit naive to seeing it, because, before you have to go to certain places to find that stuff if you were attracted to that stuff. And like I said, adults is one thing, but when it's kids and in communities, how is that good for the community at all? I have no idea how that would be good for the community. Hey, Amy, it's good to see you. Hey, Joseph Greenwich, it's good to see you. It's been a while. That is sick. Romans chapter 1:23. We'll have to check that out. It's debauchery. And you guys, what people do behind the scenes with their loved ones, with their partner, whatever, is their business. It really is. It always has been. It always will be. But the filth is being forced down at us in our eyes all the time, whether you're on the internet, whether you're out in public. There's flyers for these different events all the time. And the point is, impressionable kids and teens see this stuff. They don't even have to search for it anymore. They can walk out anywhere and see it. And that's part of, to me, the programming, the grooming, to normalize it all. And you ask yourself, well, why do they want to normalize it all? Well, they don't want men to be women and women to be men. They don't want that. They want us so messed up in the head that we're easily controlled. And as my generation and the ones that are before me, older than me, die out and move on, this whole generation of people younger than us that are going to be growing up are going to be a hot mess. And that's what I have concerns about. These men well, females that look like males with beards that are supposedly giving birth and breastfeeding babies. It is so twisted and convoluted anymore. Can't stand it. I can't stand it. And D-Dog is right. It's time. We need to get outside of our comfort zones, and we may see it and we may say that's disgusting and turn it off and walk away. But I don't think it's time to walk away from anything anymore. I think it's time to be bold about everything. Do I want to get on and talk publicly to people about stuff like this? Heck no. I'd rather just have a good time, kick back and talk about, normal things. But this is the new normal. That's why I try to mix it all in, because I can't do all this stuff all the time. That's why my show varies all over the place. I have to find balance, because I was so embedded in this stuff a few years ago that I, like probably many of you, lived at my computer 8, 10, 12 hours a day. If I wasn't working, I was at the computer, to the point that I was eating at the computer. And, I was buying into all the stuff that was going on, like many people. And I'm like, wow, we're really getting a handle. This is why this country is messed up. This is what's been going on, blah, 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 blah. And then it became conspiracies. And then, but if you look at it, it's been a process. And then you have to get away from these rabbit holes, right? You have to get away from it all for a while. And as we step back, but you look at the process of what's been going on. First, it was all the when we elect somebody into office, that stuff's getting exposed, right? And then for a while, it was all the Green Deal and all the new energy and all the supposedly explosions and weather manipulation. That went on for a while. Then it became, it's been phases of different things that it seems like have been cycled through the news. If you notice, if you step back and you pay attention, it's not like all of this hit at once. It's been just like a progression of different things over the years. And now we're at the point of the children. We're at the point of the, sexualization of the children. We got all the disgusting stuff on the Hunter laptop. We've got, all that happened with Epstein. You look at it and you look at how broad and wide it was. To me, with the child stuff started way back in with all that stuff that went down in the Catholic Church and stuff with the boys that were abused and stuff. That made headlines, and all of a sudden that went away. And I'm like, why did that go away? Why are these priests not getting kicked out? Why are they just transferring them? So that's one of those things that it started real slow, that happened, and then it went away. And now here we are, all these years later, and you look at it. You look at the broad scale of how the sexualization is so evil. It's like Sodom and Gomorrah. We've said that before, that, right is wrong and wrong is right. If you are a somewhat conservative, normal person who believes in God and men are men and women are women, you're the abnormal one now. Because there's all this different chaos going on from the border, and all these different people coming in that aren't entitled or allowed to come in, that their government's letting in. So that brings me once again back to our children and back to the teenagers, back to the 20-somethings. When they see all this crap going on all these different levels, it doesn't matter where they turn. Where do they find their sanity? Where the insanity is the sanity now. It's like upside down. Everything's upside down. If you're the tiniest bit conservative and, you want to have, like, these young kids that want to have a normal date or do something normal, they're pointed out and looked at as weird and bizarre. You look at a lot of these videos. I have a better, greener deal, plant a tree. I do that, D-Dog. I've done that. Yeah, that's awesome. But they look out there and we can go to the fentanyl and all the different things on the streets. How many of you have been online and you see videos that these people are like zombies? So many times, I think, in these cities, when you see all this just disgusting dirt and filth, and these people are on the streets, these homeless people, or maybe some of them aren't homeless, but it's like they do these drugs and they're just like laying around and they're bent over and they're acting all weird and they're just totally out of it. it is so sad to me. So remember, the kids travel these cities and you try to keep them away, but they're in their teens and 20s, young adults. They have the free will to go wherever they see this. So it's like, it's just, I'm not trying to be negative, but I'm just saying the scale of all the different things going on it can be depressing for them. So I say that we have to stay strong and support our children. We have to have patience with them. They're sucked into all this. They're growing up in all this. And like I said, it's like, I feel like it's my generation on up are the last of like the more traditionals. There's very few of the young ones that are growing up with traditional beliefs, ways, and values because the internet's got to them, the different things taught in school. And, D-Dog is right when he said it's time we take it all back. I mean, I just have a fire burning in me all over again after some time off and reflection. It's like, man, you just can't give up. And it's not that I wanted to give up, but it just became overwhelming. But when it came to the kids, that's what lit the fire in me again, because everybody out there watching, listening, or that will watch later, there's a certain trigger that you have. There's a certain something that will light the fire in you and give you that strength to get going and do what you can do for the part that really is your passion. And the kids are my passion, because without kids having hope for a future, what are they going to be left with? You look at what is happening and the exposure that these kids are having to the different visuals of the surgeries that these trans people are having at their age and younger. You look at how in the schools, not, the boys have to intermix with the girls. There's no boys and there's no girls. And you have to, I've said this before with the teaching, sometimes the colors are mixed up. The boy can't just use blue and the girl can't just use pink, et cetera, et cetera. So you all are well aware of this. And what I'm seeing out there is it just seems like it's escalating. And like I said, with summer coming and better weather across the country, it seems like just like Nike, all these people are lining up all these different events, parades, outdoor things that they are having go on. And they've stolen the rainbow, and the rainbow is God's. That's it. That's it. We need the rainbow back. It represents something it was never intended to represent. And that's just evil and bad to me. So, being conservative and having morals and values and God first, I don't think that harms people. Once again, what harms people is people who are in power in religion that mess with their minds, mess with the Bible, false prophets and stuff, and tweak it so they can have the power and the finances. If you're an honest, up and up person and you're trying your best to follow God, follow some standards, morals, and values, support each other, there's nothing bad about that. It even says in scripture, being honest, being loving, being kind, being generous, there is no sin against these things. These are the things that we should be living by. And unfortunately, it's the greed and everything else that seem to be overpowering these days, because there's never enough money for these people who are corrupt. There's never enough drugs for the people, who are selling the drugs. They just want it more and more and more. It seems like they never learn that. They think easy street is the dark path, and using other people to do the bad things that gain them the finances. And that's unfortunate. And I talked about at my store here about how it's just so easy for these days, no matter where you live, what kind of community you're in, that people just go, gangs of people, 3, 4, 5 people at a time, go in stores and just take everything in their arms and run out and think that it's a-okay because the laws say don't stop them. They're not a threat. They're not this. They're not that. And once criminals realize they're going to get away with it, they're going to keep doing it. It's easy street for them. And that's wrong. When you have, especially these stores, drug stores, where older people go and get their prescriptions and stuff. I mean, you shouldn't have to worry about going into a store and picking up your prescription. I worry about the psyche of the older people as well. That's not fair to them. So, I mean, I just think it's really time to fight back the way we can fight back. Actually, at my it was the CVS. It's a couple miles from me, not far from my work. There was somebody that was actually shot and unalived in the parking lot one beautiful weekday morning at 9 o'clock in the morning. Now, granted, it was a domestic dispute and violent thing, but the person was a pharmacist at that store. And my point is, at 9 o'clock in the morning on a weekday, you've got most people are working, but you've got moms and older people that are going in that store to pick up their prescription. What's that going to do if they're in the crossfire of that? It has to stop. The madness has to stop. I get so angered. Or you look at the subway stations, and there's plenty of videos out there of people pushing other people into the subways, or there's these teens that are just beating each other up. There's a lot of violence in the streets. And I believe a lot of it is frustration. They don't have direction. It's not just they don't have guidance from their parents. I feel like there's a sense of hopelessness in them. And I want to fight to get that hope back in them. We can't give up on them. We have to offer direction and hope and aid. And, that's what we do as conservative, supposedly intelligent, educated, thinking people. We can bitch and complain about it all we want, and that's not going to change it. We have to just stay alert and pay attention and do our part. Okay, well, that's about it for today, you guys. I wanted to just get those few things out there highlighted in the news today. And I was going to try to do it earlier, and I just couldn't get to it with work and stuff. So I'm just going to try to get a little more consistent with my shows. I actually have a 10-day devotion that I want to get started, but I got to figure out when to start it, because I got to do it 10 days in a row. Because if I put it out there, I want to make sure you guys get 10 days in a row like you're supposed to. So I'll probably be on more. I may not do as long shows. This 10-day devotion I want to do, I might just hop on 15, 20 minutes, put it out there, and then go to work. Because if I don't have to commit to an hour or so, then it's a lot more. It frees me up more to be able to do it consistently. So anyhow, Harvest Merry Moon, there you are. I was wondering where you were. And you guys are welcome so much. I love you guys as always. Thanks for listening. Thanks for participating as always. We are all together in this together, this mess together. But I do believe, I keep saying, when we get to the other side, we're going to be so thankful and glad that we didn't give up the fight. And the other side is going to be beautiful. It's going to be amazing. This country is a great country. It isn't gone to pot like it has. 2024 is getting really close. I believe there's a lot more steam that's going to be developing and all these things. And we're going to be there on the other side. And I can't wait to wave that flag in celebration when we are able to get to that point. So very good. MG, good to see you. D-Dog, short and sweet is, 10-4, good buddy. Blondie here. Okay, love you guys. I'm going to head out, and have a wonderful, great rest of your evening, everybody. And I will talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.